If anyone were to say or ask me, should I start a business or be a founder, a startup in particular, I'll say don't do it. There's a lot of things that you learn in school that are all theory, but when you start putting, your hands to the road, it's very different when you apply it. Studying versus applying is very different. 90% of startups fail, and I think that is the first test. If I say don't even try, it's not worth your time, and you don't do it, you may not be cut out for it. Within every failure is the seed of success. The difference between winners and losers is winners, they take the failure and they take the lesson with it. Losers, they just chalk it up as a failure and they don't see the seed of success. In a startup, you're a lot closer to the problem. It's chaos in a startup. You'll plant a bamboo tree and you don't see any results for maybe 5 years. You're like, what is not growing? What's going on? But a bamboo tree can grow 90 feet in 6 weeks. I think startups are like bamboo trees. Are you going to put in that, 3, 4, 5 year work and not see any results?
And
just to see
continuously
that, exponential growth all of a sudden, that's really what it's like behind the scenes. And most of us only see that 6 weeks of 90 feet growth, but there was a lot more that went behind it.
It's your boy again, Dr. Ernie Royalty, coming to you live from the Royalty Mindset Podcast studio. Hello, how are you doing? It's your boy again, Dr. Ernie Royalty, coming to you live from the Royalty Mindset Podcast studio. We have come again with another exciting episode. It promises to be educative, fun, as usual. Stay right there and watch us talk. On today's episode, I have a special guest. He's a friend. He is a brilliant and intelligent young man who has been able to achieve a lot within the tech space. My guest today is the founder of Keisha AI. I'm going to give it to him to introduce to us by himself who truly he is. I'm going to leave it just like this right now. Brandon, it is great having you on the pod.
Yep. Glad to be here.
Absolutely.
Dr. Earnest, thanhanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Like he was saying, my name is Brandon. I am the founder of Keisha, an AI-powered executive assistant to help you be more productive. We've been working on this at the start of this year. My background is in software engineering. I have an MBA. My 3 buckets of my life are engineering, fitness, and spirituality. And I try to bring all of those things together.
Absolutely. So Brandon, this is what makes me really like you. You are so versatile and you do a lot of things, One thing that really interests me the most is in the area of tech and of course spirituality. I have seen you talk. I have watched you talk. We're going to start this whole conversation by you exposing what Keisha is all about. Talk to me.
Yeah, so Keisha, it started from a problem that I had personally, trying to manage my calendar, my schedule, prioritizing endless tasks. Being an entrepreneur and having multiple things, it's hard to keep track of everything. And doing it yourself takes time. And I was lazy. I didn't want to do it myself. And so I thought to myself, why don't I build something to do it for me? That's where the whole idea came from. I started talking to more people and found that I wasn't the only one with this problem. There's a lot of people in the world that has this problem. Just one fun fact, just 20 years ago, humans used to consume 50 gigabytes of data in a year. Now, it's almost that in a day. So we're constantly getting hit with things over and over. There's too much and we need assistance.
Brilliant. So we are in the world of AI. Artificial intelligence has taken over the world today, and we haven't even started yet. That is the truth. I left the university for my bachelor's so many years ago, and I remember we were taught so many things about AI, machine learning, and all of that. So I really started getting more interested after I had graduated and started practicing. I did my bachelor's in computer science, by the way.
Same.
And you did the same, right? Yeah. So the way we have seen things these days, right? It is mind-blowing where AI is actually taking us to. What makes you, interested in the field of AI? Because technology is very broad.
Mhm.
Why did you choose to pursue, your tech career in AI these days?
For me, it's easy because I've always been into technology. I've been into computers since I was 5 years old. Like I remember Windows 98, and I'm not that old. So I was a young kid who got into computers at an early age. I always knew that technology would be my career. Getting my degree in computer science, it became a seamless transition. And if you're in tech, there's always new things happening every few years. And so AI is not a new concept. It's actually been around for a long time. Anything with algorithms or machine learning, data science, it's all been there. I mean, we had Pandora and Google search 10 years ago. So AI was there, but the level that it's at now is ridiculous. So it was more of a natural progression for me. I just saw AI as a tool to enhance my growth, my development, everything that we do. And I try to look at where the world is going.
Right.
Rather than where it is and where it's been, because we have iPhones in our pockets now. But imagine so many years ago, even when our grandparents were alive, there were people that took the cords from the phone and plug it in to connect you to who you wanted to talk to.
Exactly.
Now it's all in the cloud. And so if you build your whole career around that, plugging the wire into the cord, and then the world changes, then where are you left? So I see AI right now, we're at an inflection point, and this is just the beginning.
Indeed, the beginning point. You see, a lot of things have transpired in the tech world. Just like you just mentioned, you've just taken us back memory lane, delved deeper into how we started making calls using wired kind of phones, and today, right now, it's all wireless. Everything is in the cloud, You just mentioned something very interesting. When you said the cloud, for the sake of those who really are not tech inclined, what is cloud? Because whenever we measure the word cloud, so many people think is the sky. So tell us, what exactly is the cloud, and how does it function, and how does it connect with AI?
Yeah, cloud is basically an offloaded service provider for your data. Before, you would have a computer and all of your data was on that computer. You had to go home if you wanted to see your pictures.
Yeah.
But now there's a computer, giant computer with lots of hard drives and memory that is off somewhere in a warehouse. And that's not in your home anymore, but it has all of your data. And, through wireless internet, you can connect through that database. And because it's there instead of your home, you can see your pictures anywhere.
Beautiful. Meaning that you can easily share resources, share files, data from wherever you are, as long as you are connected to the internet.
Yep.
So cloud is not just the blue sky, the white sky that we see. It's actually an internet connected computers that enables you access those files, those data from wherever you may be, as long as you're connected to the internet, basically. Awesome. So now you know what cloud is all about. When we mention the word cloud, it's not about the sky. It's actually you being able to access your data anywhere you are in the world, as long as you are connected to the internet. So beautiful. Talking about artificial intelligence again, tell me how it looks like being a founder in this space.
If anyone were to say or ask me, should I start a business or be a founder, a startup in particular, I'll say don't do it. And whether you do it or not determines if you should do it. If someone says don't do it and you do it anyway, you're probably crazy enough to make it work. It is a wild journey. There's a lot of things that you learn in school that are all theory, but when you start putting your hands to the road, then is very different when you apply it. Studying versus applying is very different. And so build a startup, if you are, it's a wild roller coaster of ups and downs. And I think of a startup like a bamboo tree. You plant a bamboo tree and you don't see any results for maybe 5 years.
Yeah.
You're like, what is not growing? What's going on? But a bamboo tree can grow 90 feet in 6 weeks. And I think startups are like bamboo trees. Are you going to put in that 3, 4, 5 year work and not see any results?
And
just
then
to see
continuously
that exponential growth all of a sudden, that's really what it's like behind the scenes. And most of us only see that 6 weeks of 90 feet growth, but there was a lot more that went behind it.
Brilliant. You see, a lot of people don't see the pain behind the success. Basically, that's what you just explained. I'm just rephrasing what you said. A lot of pain go behind the whole scenario. They only get to see the glory when it is matured enough, when the tree has started bearing fruit. So they can actually go there and pluck from that orange tree or the mango tree and eat the fruit. That's what they see. They can't remember when the fruit was being planted and how it was being watered to make sure that it grows, germinate, grows, and become what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. I'm a tech founder myself. I know exactly what you're talking about because I have done a lot in the tech space. I have been in the tech for the past 15 years, and I'm well grounded in the field. I have gone around different areas of tech, from software development to business analysis to tech operations to tech project management, and now I function mainly in the security side of things, right? I also have an AI stuff that I'm working on currently. It's almost done, and when it's done, I'm going to be unveiling it, because this day and age is all about AI, and we want to create products that is going to help people, make their life easier, smarter, and be able to be more productive. And that's exactly what AI has brought to us, and that's what generally tech has brought to the world, is to make our lives, simple and more productive. So I understand exactly what you just mentioned with respect to how you build in the background, and people are not seeing exactly what you're doing. But when the product becomes global, then everyone is thinking, oh, this just sprang up all of a sudden, not knowing that a lot of work has been put in place.
Yep.
Beautiful. So tell us, I ask a question, how does it look like being an AI founder or a tech founder? And that was when you delve into talking about how it started at the backyard and people don't get to see that and all of that. And you said something that was striking. You said you would tell people not even to try. Why that?
90% of startups fail. And I think that is the first test. If I say don't even try, it's not worth your time, and you don't do it, you may not be cut out for it.
But isn't it a good thing to start and even see where it takes us?
It is, yeah.
Whether it fails or not. Because let me put it this way. I know it's very hard, but at the same time, people still need to do or strive and even see whether it works or not. If it doesn't work out, I wouldn't call it failure, because I don't see that as failure. It's just you have learned a new way of doing things. Even you've learned a way of doing things wrongly, that it wouldn't work exactly as expected, but really it's not a failure. And if you continuously be persistent in what you do, at the end of the day, you may find results. Don't you think in that direction?
Yeah, what you're saying is absolutely true. I mean, within every failure is the seed of success. To summarize what you just said.
Say that again, please. Say that again.
Within every failure is the seed of success.
I love that.
So if you look at it that way, then yes, you're going to learn a lot. And the difference between winners and losers is winners, they take the failure and they take the lesson with it. If losers, they just chalk it up as a failure. They don't see the seed of success and plant that, build that bamboo tree, just to tie it back. So that's absolutely correct. And I say that if I say don't do it and you don't do it, I say that because I think that's the first test of, if you're willing to face that failure. Because the fear of failure itself is what stops most people from succeeding. You fail once and you learn, but you have to fail enough times to find success.
Indeed. I love that. I love that perspective. Yes, you've just unraveled the mystery behind the statement you made. Interesting. Now let's take a look at how you actually started your career. When you left, college, did you work for anybody or you just started your own company?
No, when I left college, I got a job at a large bank. From there, I was a software architect, working on enterprise applications for bank tellers. And that was my first journey. And then from there, I worked there for about 4 years. Then I moved to a startup of about 10 people. And then I moved to another startup that was also small. And now I'm here building Keisha, starting my own company. So it was a journey.
Interesting. I really like that journey of yours. So tell us, you've worked in a large bank, a global bank as we'll call it, right?
Mhm.
I've also been there. I've worked in a lot of large banks, most of the big four banks in the US. I've worked at least in two of them,
Mm.
and then some other bigger banks as well. And what is the difference between working in that large or global environment versus working in that small group of people who are just a new startup?
Mhm.
What can you say is the difference to those two different environments?
Yeah. In a startup, you're a lot closer to the problem. You're a lot closer to the customers, and the whole team is more cohesive. At a large bank, you're kind of all of the problems are a little bit abstracted away. You're working on a piece of a bigger puzzle. Whereas in a startup, you're working on a large piece of a small puzzle. And the difference is dramatic. How you operate, how you proceed, how you make decisions is drastic, because in a startup, you need to be able to move fast and quickly, iterate, how Mark Zuckerberg says, build shit and fail fast.
Yeah.
Or break shit, fail fast, and then learn.
Yeah.
So that's what you have to do in a startup. But in a larger organization, when you're more stable, you also need to maintain your success. So there's a balance of innovating while maintaining your success. And it looks like slowness. It's just situational, the way I see it. There's no some people like to say, oh, it's bad or good, but it's really just stages of life. Because at some point, if your startup is successful, it's going to turn into that large corporation. And that's what you want. But how to get there is different at every phase. You have to operate differently and make decisions in a completely different way. It's chaos in a startup.
I like that. That is so striking. I mean, I love the way you just responded to these, because I've also experienced both environments, but mine was, I started in a startup. I started my career in a startup, and that was back then in Nigeria.
Okay. You started. Okay.
Yeah, it was a tech startup, and we developed a lot of applications. We had a lot of products we developed, and we served many clients in different industries, in the banking, in the oil and gas, telecommunication, and the likes. I call it a startup because it was a small company, but I learned a lot in that environment. It exposed me to a lot of opportunities. Like you said, you closer to the problem, you closer to you closer to the customer, to the clients. You deal with them directly and know exactly what they want or what they need, what their business needs are all about, and all of that. You are able to be a part of that problem solving situation. That really helped me a lot in my career. And then it was later on in life that I started working in bigger organizations. And when I got to those bigger organizations, I wasn't surprised anymore, right? Because I had learned exactly what I should be applying in this bigger organization. Only that you can't just find yourself in a bubble, in a very big stream. You are thinking, where do I swim to? Should I swim to the left, or should I swim to the right? Should I swim forward, or should I swim backward? That kind of situation is what you find yourself in when you work in that bigger environment.
Yeah. There's a lot of pieces, a lot of hands, a lot of people.
Yeah.
And the communication, a lot of channels of communication.
Indeed. Okay, so let's take it a little bit forward. Let's talk about Keisha again. Where do you see Keisha? How long has Keisha been around?
About 9 months now, depending on when you're watching this.
9 months. Okay, yeah. This is 2024. 9 months from ago was when it was. This is November 2024. So should we say about March, February?
You can say January.
January,
I say
February.
9 months because I took a little bit of a maternity break. So I subtracted that. But really since January 2024.
Awesome. And how is it doing so far?
So far, there's a lot of foundational work. A lot of learning, I'll just take it back and say, if you're building a startup, the first thing you should do, and a lot of founders get this wrong, is they start building immediately. You think you know the problem and you assume, but the first thing you should do before writing a single line of code is understand your customer problem and understand the market. Then go to the MVP and build something, solve for one problem first, not just don't try to boil the ocean. That's where you should start in this journey.
That is beautiful, beautiful advice. Don't boil the ocean. When you want to start, think about a problem you're about to solve and build an MVP, minimum viable product, which is the exact problem, exact solution to a specific problem. It doesn't have to be perfect at that point in time. You just want to take it out agile, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be perfect. Gone are the days where people start to make use of waterfall in creating stuff. You make use of agile these days most of the time, which enables you create an MVP, so you know exactly you have a product to launch to the market, and then you then perfect on that product as it begins to grow in the market. As people start using it, they will be giving you feedback.
Yep,
You start learning more and then build more upon it.
Yep. But spend a lot of time doing the research and learning before you even build that MVP. Make sure you know that you're building the MVP to solve somebody's problem,
Right?
And not the other way around, where you're building the MVP and saying, "Does this solve your problem?" Because then you have to go back.
So, I know having a startup is not an easy task, especially from that foundation. So, do you work on this by yourself, alone, or you have some group of people that work with you on this one?
Yeah, currently it's myself and my co-founder. We're both senior engineers, so we have a technical background, which
Awesome.
really helps a lot when you're building a tech startup.
Yeah.
We have other help from people who just wanted to support the mission and the vision, which has been great. One thing I've heard from different mentors and investors who've given talks, they say, if you're building a product and you can't find someone to help you with it, that's a red flag, because if you can't find someone to help you with it, then how are you going to find someone to invest in your company?
Exactly.
Or how are you going to find a customer to buy the product? Like, if no one thinks it's a great idea. So that may be the first thing. Like, if you can find someone to help you, then you may be on the right track. But with us, to answer your question, yeah, there's two of us right now with help from and support from a lot.
That is awesome. It's always a good thing to have a partner, because it can be overwhelming. A lot of people give up on startups because they've been working on it by themselves, alone.
Yeah.
And it's never easy. When you have a big idea, you of course you keep thinking about this idea from time to time, and then you want to start building something. If you do not have that external force that keeps pushing you, anytime you want to give up, and there's this force that keeps tapping you, hey dude, you can't give up now. We've gone too far, That's where it becomes very easy. Important having other people around.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that's important when you're building something to keep you going. Really, it's like you should start with a why too. That's very important.
The purpose. And that will become the fuel that keeps pushing you to never give up. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Can I tell you a story about that?
Yes, please.
Just to put it in perspective on the why. So this story, the answers, it really changed my life. But there was a guy who asked 3 bricklayers a question. And he said, "What are you doing?" He went to the first bricklayer, and the first bricklayer said, "Sir, I'm laying bricks." He asked the second bricklayer, and he said, "Sir, I'm building a church." Now the third one, he asked the third one. He set down his tools, and his eyes were filled with pride, and he said, "Sir, I'm building the house of God." So they all had the same job, same work, same sweat rolling down their foreheads. But the difference was their perspective. Your perspective shapes your purpose and how you move. It's not just about what your hands are doing, but what your heart sees. One had a job, the other had a career, the third had a calling. And so if you're going to do anything big, just remember, you need that purpose. And is it a job or calling?
Preach, Brandon, preach. I love that. Wow, that is, if this is just the only line we've gotten from this conversation, I think is enough. Damn, this is really beautiful. Your perspective matters a lot. It portrays what actually you have in mind. That's your why.
Yep.
Yeah, you start seeing from that angle of, this is exactly the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing and what I intend to achieve from this. Wow, beautiful. I love that perspective. I love that perspective. So now, for example, let's take it the other way, right? There are some cases you have a partner working with you on a project, and because the partner does not really see the vision that you have, it tends to derail the project and can even make that project unachievable. When you find yourself in such a case, how do you deal with it?
That's where your systems and procedures come into place. I feel like you're building a startup. It's easy to think it's like, hey, everybody, just come help me, and we're just going to figure it out. Startups do change, and what you decide in the beginning, it may shift, but it helps to have some sort of set of expectations, some process for decision making, like all the stuff that you don't really want to spell out because you can't predict it. Just make an estimate and just say, if this, then this happens. It may change in the future, but just having that set of guidelines, it helps, especially in cases like this. When you're building a company, the first thing they tell you is, what's the vision and the mission? Because all your decisions come from that. For example, with Keisha, our vision and mission is to enhance human productivity and give your time back. So when you think about that, we can make all of our decisions from that. If a company comes to me and says, hey, there's a new revenue stream for you, we want you to put ads into your platform and sell the ads. And if we're having a disagreement, it's easy to us to just say, wait a minute, we disagree, but does it align with our vision and mission? Now we have something to go back to.
Right.
And say, let's ask it, is it aligned with that? And so that really helps when it comes to making decisions.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now I have just last question. What is it next for Keisha?
Yeah, what's next for Keisha is for you and anyone here to check it out. Keisha.ai is where you can find it.
Awesome. Keisha.ai. Keysha.
Keisha with a Y. The key just says.
And Y. Okay, Keisha.ai. Makes sense. Guys, go check it out. See how you can make use of that particular platform to make your life more productive. It promises to give you exactly what it talks about. Okay. So what will be your final word for the guests? I mean, for the audience watching.
Final word for the guest is tying it back to that story. Every brick you lay today is building tomorrow's cathedral. What's your cathedral?
Beautiful. What's your cathedral? What do you want to build? I love this. You see, we can continue to go, and I will not get tired of talking to Brandon. Brandon is an intelligent man, as you can see. We still definitely have to come back again for more conversation regarding and relating to this. In a few years from now, you're definitely going to be hearing about Keisha, and I know he has other stuff he's building, not just Keisha, because he keeps building. Like I mentioned, he's brilliant, he's intelligent, and he's ready to take the world in the world of AI. Until we come your way again, I remain your very own Dr. Ernie Royalty, the favorite host of the Royalty Mindset podcast. Cheers.